Hello and welcome. It's a year since President Mohamed Morsi took office in Egypt in the first democratically elected government since the fall of Hosni Mubarak. But 12 months on and hundreds of thousands of Egyptians have gathered in Tahrir Square demanding the president's resignation. It's just gone past midnight in Cairo, and this is the scene live where the biggest demonstration has been taking place since the revolution 2 years ago. The protests have been largely peaceful, though there are reports that 4 people have been killed in protests taking place outside of the capital. With the latest, the BBC's Middle East editor Jeremy Bone reports.
From the River Nile across Cairo and right through Egypt, frustration, disappointment and anger with the president brought, the opposition said, millions onto the streets. It started with a petition whose organisers, a movement called Rebellion, claimed 22 million signatures, demanding President Morsi's resignation and early elections. The high hopes that followed the revolution in 2011 were always unrealistic, given Egypt's economic problems and political divisions. But those who want the president out say he made a bad situation worse.
We have gotten rid of a dictatorship that lasted for 60 years. Now we have to get rid of a new fascism that has lasted for 1 year. The Egyptian people are not going to accept this anymore. Egypt is going down the drain.
But you had an election.
Well, so what? He didn't fulfill the contract.
A wooden sandal was used once to beat a ruler of Egypt to death. A major cause of discontent is Egypt's economic collapse, as well as accusations that he's ruling for his supporters in the Muslim Brotherhood and not for all Egyptians. The religious demonstrated alongside the secular.
There is nothing in religion about killing people or destroying your country. Religion is for God, and the homeland is for everyone.
President Morsi, or whoever's in charge in Egypt, needs time, money, and the patience of the people. At the moment, this country doesn't have any of those things. The best bet right now is a prolonged period of political chaos. The most urgent challenge is keeping the peace.
Behind their own security barrier, supporters of the president are staging their own sit-in, occupying another square in Cairo. They echo their leader's view that he has the legitimacy of an election victory and that it's anti-democratic for street protests to try to force him out.
Now, who get Morsi in his place? The voices of the people. And he must roll for the voices of the people. After 3 years, he will be kicked off if he didn't go for the voices of the people.
Many of the president's supporters carried clubs. They said they feared attack and were ready to defend themselves. They believe a majority of Egyptians share their belief that Islam and an Islamist state is the answer. The army is watching what's happening. They've warned they'll intervene if Egypt becomes ungovernable. The anti-Morsi coalition ranges from supporters of the old regime to people who risked their lives to bring it down. They share the desire to overthrow the new president and not much else. No one from any side of politics has shown the vision yet to channel Egypt's extraordinary human energy into peace, prosperity and quiet. Jeremy Bone, BBC News, Cairo.
Well, a short time ago, I spoke to Jeremy, who's in Tahrir Square. This is what he told us.
You know, it's absolutely deafening in Tahrir Square here tonight. There are tens of thousands of people down in the square behind me and in the streets around as well, thousands more. And there are also tens of thousands, maybe even more than 100,000 outside the presidential palace. And as you drive through Cairo, you see people on the streets, on every street corner. And these are people who are here opposing President Morsi, elected a year ago today, but who has managed to unite the disunited side of Egypt. Everybody really except the Muslim Brotherhood and the Islamists who supported him. They're a very broad movement, a broad coalition. They share now, though, the desire for President Morsi to step down. His supporters, though, are saying that he won an election fair and square, and for the sake of democracy, that needs to stand.
And Jeremy, are the protests largely good-natured?
Yet here in the center of Cairo, the protests have throughout the day been pretty good-natured, and there were some predictions of terrible violence, so that in one sense is a testament to the way that people are behaving. However, it's a dangerous time, a very dangerous time for Egypt. People are very apprehensive about what might happen. Every now and then, if there's an extra loud blast of fireworks, sometimes people scatter and panic. And of course, in another section of Cairo, there are tens of thousands of supporters of the president on the streets as well. And the fear is that if those two sides come together, then there would be clashes. There are reports of violence elsewhere in the country, reports of deaths and injuries in addition to that. And here in the capital in Cairo, there have been attacks on the headquarters of the Muslim Brotherhood with people armed with Molotov cocktails, with petrol bombs, and there seems to be some kind of clash that's been going on there for some hours this evening. This is a dangerous moment for Egypt. It faces the most serious political crisis it's been up against since the overthrow of President Mubarak in 2011, and in a sense, this crisis has been brewing ever since then because of the fact that people have not been able to agree, not just on a way forward, but on a way of coming together to try to generate some national unity about dealing with Egypt's enormous problems, which are headed first and foremost by problems of the economy, but there are plenty of others as well. So tonight, one of the big challenges for the opposition is how to channel this remarkable energy into a coherent political strategy for winning power. And for President Morsi, the challenge is trying to win back large proportions of the population who very clearly have turned against him.
Jeremy Bone reporting there. We will, of course, keep an eye on what is happening in Tahrir Square for you and bring you the latest as soon as we get it. But